Hello and welcome to Henry's Digital World. This tutorial is for you even if you are a complete beginner, a hobbyist, or someone who is just curious about how websites work. You are in the right place to build your skills and confidence. I am Henry and this video is part of my HTML tutorial series where we learn and create amazing web projects step by step. You can find all the code we write during these tutorials on my GitHub page as shown on the screen. If you would like to support this journey and help me create even better content, please feel free to show some love at seller.co/showlove/hdw. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on YouTube for more coding tutorials at Code with Henry. Now let's dive into today's lesson and bring some awesome ideas to life. So today we'll be talking about HTML. As you can read on the screen, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's the foundation of every website you visit. By the end of today's lesson, you know what HTML is, the importance, and you will even be able to create your own very first web page. HTML, as we have said before, it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So what is HTML? What exactly is it? Think of it as the building blocks of a website. It is not of a web page, it is not a programming language like JavaScript. It is a markup language. The primary job is to structure content on the web. So what it does is to structure things on the web. For example, it lets you to create headings, paragraphs, links, images, and a lot more. If you have ever clicked the button, read an article, or watched a video on your website, HTML definitely played a role in making that happen. So why is HTML important? HTML is important because just imagine you are building a house. You need a solid structure to hold everything together, right? That's exactly what HTML does. HTML is like that solid structure to hold everything together. It's a framework that supports all other pieces like CSS for styling and JavaScript for interactivity. Without HTML, the internet as we know it currently would actually not exist. That's how fundamental HTML is. HTML is very, very important in a web page. Now let's create our first HTML file and discuss the structure of HTML. First of all, we would like to use a text editor. To get started, you don't need anything fancy. You can even use a notepad. But in order to do this, we would need an IDE, which stands for Integrated Development Environment, which helps you develop, which helps you write code better and faster. So for Android users, I would recommend Xcode. For PC users, I recommend Visual Studio Code. And for iOS users, I would recommend Textastic, Textastic. So I just opened Xcode and this is what it should open like. You might have to allow some permissions and that is not a big deal. So the first thing you do is click these three buttons here. Click files. There's nothing here. So you click this plus button at the top, click add path and then select folder. Previously I created a folder titled let me see, HTML tutorials. Yeah. So I'll just say use this folder. Yeah, and that's just it. You are there. So in every folder I want to create, in this folder, this one folder, we have all of our projects. So I'll just do this and say new, let's say new folder, not new project. So I'll just say lesson 1. It is not our HTML file. It is just a folder that will contain the lesson. So inside this lesson, then we'll say index.html, index.html. Good. So let's open this file and get started. Okay, I want to make sure the files are listed, but obviously it is not. So I'll go back, and when I get here, I'll just click this mark button at the bottom right, and yeah, it has listed it. If we check now, yeah, index.html in lesson 1. Okay, so the structure of an HTML file. The first thing in HTML file is the doc type, and the doc type starts with a less than, then you type doc type. Just do type it like that. We type in capital letters and you don't leave spaces. So just type doc type is HTML. Look at it, there's doc type HTML5 here. Yeah, it brings suggestion for us. We're using HTML5 currently, so this is what happens in HTML5. I will remove that extra one at the back. Yeah, remove. So we have other types of doc type, but because we are using HTML5, that's why we have this. In other types of HTML, we have longer ones, which you definitely do not want to do right now. So I'll just click this save button here. So the other things we have in HTML, I would like to show you HTML comments first. We're not supposed to do that yet, but I'll be using it as an indication. It doesn't do anything on the web page. It's like a note to yourself. This is what it looks like. So I'll just type the doc type. Okay, doc type. Alright, that's it. So the next thing is HTML. We have the HTML tag itself. So you just open almost every tag in HTML has the opening and closing tag. So when you type HTML and then you put a closing tag, it automatically gives us the closing tag. This is the opening tag, as you can see here, and this is the closing tag. So I've told you we have the doc type, and then the second one I did was the HTML. So let's do another one for HTML. We actually have others, not just this two. Then the next thing we have is the head tag. Let me just copy this line down. Okay. Okay, so I'll just hit copy down and then say head. Okay, head done, and then the last one is the body. Okay, let's see, body. All right, so let's continue. So after this HTML tag wraps everything in between, like basically everything that is in between the tag, everything that is in between the page, I mean. So inside this HTML tag we have an attribute called language attribute, and our language is right now is English. So you just type lang in front equal to, then in quotes en, that's all. So let's put a head tag to head. So with a code we have these things called Emmet, EMMET. These Emmet abbreviations are, they make it easy to type some things. You know, I'm supposed to open a less than before doing anything, but I can simply type head and just click this tab, and yes, it opens a head tag. Can you see? So the body does not stay inside the head. You should know that. So at the bottom we have body. That's after head. After head we have body. I like to code in small letters, all small. And the name of our file is it is starting with a capital letter, which we do not want. It should be all caps, all small letter, I mean. Okay, crisis averted. So we can see now we have the head and the body. The head, the HTML covers everything. HTML wraps everything, while the head, it includes some information that do not show on the web page, but are relevant. Web page, but are relevant and important. Okay, show is not spelled that way. THE for D, not spelled that way. And then the body shows, is the part that shows on the web page, the part which shows, the part which shows on the web page. You can see what this looks like now. So next thing I'm going to do is clear everything here out. Yep, I'm going to clear everything. Before I clear, you can take a snapshot or anything. So I'm going to clear it right now. And then there's another thing about Emmet abbreviations, just an exclamation mark and press your tab, and yes, you have all of this. So all of this code might not make sense to you right now, but some does make sense. For example, the doc type, I already explained that. The body tag, I explained that. The head tag and the body tag is right here. I already explained all of this to you. So the next thing now is to do something inside our body tag. So we can look at all of these head elements. We have meta, character set. They might not make sense, but do not worry. We'll definitely talk about them, so you don't have to worry about them right now. So in HTML, we have headings. So I'm going to do, we have headings. We have from H1 to H6. H1 is the largest, while H6 is the smallest. So headings, they rank from H1 to H6, H1 being the largest and H6 the smallest. Okay, so I'll show you an H1 right now. H1, I'll just press tab. Okay, so we have H1 here. My H1 will say hello world. Alright, that's usually the traditional first thing. Then you say this is my very first web page. H1. Okay, no, a paragraph. I'm very sorry. So a paragraph is just a P, so you will not be needing a comment to tell you what that means. Of course, a P is P, right? So paragraph, let's just say this is my very first web page. So now that we have this, the next thing we want to do is preview this in a web browser. Now usually on Android and iOS, we usually have something you can use to just preview easily in the app. Just click that play button at the top right. Look at this. Hello world, this is my very first web page. Also, you can, in Xcode, you can just view in your web browser. To just click here and click open in browser, and it will just automatically go to your browser. Can you see it here? So it is easy. You can preview it and preview it in browser. Some things don't work in the app, but when we try the browser, we'll make sure that it actually really works. So this will wrap it up for today. In our next lesson, we'll explore different type of head elements. We can see what head is here, different type of head tags. See, this is another feature of Xcode. You can just collapse a whole tag, for example the whole body, and it just appears and it comes back. So in our next lesson, we'll explore everything we can do in our head tag, every single thing like our meta tags and link. We'll see everything we can do in our next class. So this is bye for now. You should try to add some more headings and paragraphs to your web page, and until then, do not hesitate to ask more questions. Some questions, do not hesitate to ask any question.